Hi everyone, this is Dr. Nitin Chhoda with Ignition Time, and I have an important announcement about the stimulus package. This was just announced by White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows. He said that President Trump is willing to sign a $1.3 trillion COVID stimulus relief package. Now, this is important because if you remember, the Democrats were at $3.4 trillion with the HEROES Act. They were willing to come down to $2.4 trillion. The White House was standing firm at $1 trillion, and it seems like they are about to go to $1.3 trillion, and the president is willing to sign it. Now, I believe that White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows is trying to put pressure on House Speaker Nancy Pelosi to try and create a deal, to try and come to the negotiating table and create essentially some pressure in the court of public opinion. Here's what happened today. The White House Chief of Staff did say that the president was willing to sign a package totaling $1.3 trillion, which essentially is still $1.1 trillion off from where the Democrats are. He said, and I quote, "The president right now is willing to sign something at $1.3 trillion. And he had previously said, this is White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, that the White House was willing to go north of $1 trillion, but he had never offered a precise number. Now, I do want my viewers and subscribers to temper your expectations, because again, I'm always going to be real with you. I'm always going to give you the truth. This number, according to White House Chief of Staff, was something that was offered privately to Democrats. So this was offered to Democrats, and it's clear that they said no, because House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has stood firm for her demand for right around $2.4 trillion. Now, as you probably know, White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi did speak yesterday. They spoke on the phone for about 25 minutes. Unfortunately, that didn't go anywhere, and both of them essentially it was not a good outcome. White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows actually told Republican lawmakers this morning that it was a waste of time, and U.S. Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin, who's the other lead negotiator on behalf of the administration, basically said that House Speaker Pelosi was not looking for a deal at this point in time. And House Speaker Pelosi also basically stood firm with her request, and she did say that she would come down to $2.2 trillion, down from $2.4 trillion, the offer that they made earlier this month. So the Democrats started at 3.4, they came down to 2.4. Now they're saying they're going to come down to 2.2. The White House started at $1 trillion and have come to $1.3 trillion. So we're still apart by about $900 billion. And by the way, the cost of borrowing money right now is right around 1.5%. So the interest cost of $900 billion is maybe $10 or $11 billion a year. And that's all. That's the difference. That's how far apart they are in terms of the interest borrowing costs of this entire situation. They are getting close. But unfortunately, I think House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is standing firm, and so is Mark Meadows. Now it is encouraging. I just want to be clear. It is encouraging that the president is willing to go up and the Democrats are willing to come down, but they are still far apart at this moment in time. But I do see the two sides gradually inching towards each other because the pressure to do a deal is increasing. Now, this is what House Speaker Pelosi told reporters following the call with Meadows yesterday. "We have said again and again that we are willing to come down and meet them in the middle. That would be $2.2 trillion. And when they are ready to do that, we'll be ready to discuss and negotiate the particulars." That's what House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said. And, it's pretty clear that she's standing firm with her position. Now, I want to know what you guys think about this below. Comment below and let me know what you think about this entire situation, because it is dragging on much longer than it needs to, and both sides are under pressure. In fact, White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows said it is incumbent on us to act. He said that today, and he placed the blame on Speaker Pelosi for holding up negotiations by not agreeing to a smaller bill. He said, "We not only need to help with enhanced unemployment, but small businesses, aid to schools, making sure that daycare provisions are augmented in this unprecedented time." So that's where things stand right now, everybody. Now, again, let me be clear, the two sides are still pretty far apart, but pressure is increasing on both sides as we speak right now. This was actually originally reported by Reuters, so I will provide you with a link to the Reuters article in the description below. And again, yesterday's call, Meadows described it as 25 minutes of nothing. And House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, as early as yesterday, said the White House continues to disregard the needs of the American people. She did also say yesterday that the Democrats were, I quote, not budging on their latest offer. So that's where things stand right now, everybody. It has been many weeks since the end of the $600 weekly unemployment benefit, And GOP lawmakers did propose a skinny version of the original proposal. They then called it a targeted bill. Democrats have been writing letters to House Speaker Pelosi trying to pressure her. She's clearly not budging. And right now, here's what I believe is happening. I believe that the pressure for both sides to make a deal is going to increase, because when the unemployment numbers, when the actual retail numbers, when the actual numbers for the month of August come out next month, they're usually trailing by a month, we'll start to see a decline in the economy, because the money from the CARES Act did prop up the economy in May, June and July. But now that the unemployment benefits ran out, we are now at the end of August, you'll start to see the numbers kind of fall apart in September, October, November with the presidential election coming up. So the pressure to do a deal is increasing, and I'm starting to see both sides budge, because there'll be real world political consequences to both sides if they don't do a deal. Now again, I hate talking about political consequences when lives are at stake here, but I mean, let's call it what it is. That's what's going on here. For me, it's not about the red or the blue, it's about the red, white and blue. For me, I want my fellow Americans to get help. I want those who need help the most to get it. So for me, that's what this is about. Now, again, the fact that Speaker Pelosi came down to 2.4 trillion and down to 2.2 trillion shows that she has some wiggle room, and the fact that the president went from 1 trillion to 1.3 trillion shows that he's willing to negotiate. Now, both sides can start to blame each other the longer this drags on and say, I compromised, the other side wasn't willing to do this or wasn't willing to do that. But at the end of the day, it is going to require a consensus from both sides. Let's be clear about that. It is going to require a consensus from both sides for the federal unemployment benefit extensions to continue, for the money to flow through seamlessly, so that we don't have to consider the $300 a week benefit and its statewide rollout, which essentially is impacting, which is essentially slowing down the distribution of the money throughout the country. What is actually happening is the $300 a week is going to different states at different speeds, if you will. It's not moving as fast as we want it to. Some states are not even going to pay out the money. Some states are going to take 2 months to pay out the money. A majority of states are only going to pay out the $300 a week. And some states like Arizona have already started paying out the money, and a state like South Dakota said they don't even need the money. So it's been quite chaotic, because different states are approaching this entire situation differently. And so it is critical, it's absolutely imperative that the $600 a week unemployment benefits are reinstated in some way, shape or form through an act of Congress. And that requires the House Speaker Nancy Pelosi to say, yes, I agree with the administration. That then requires a bill that goes from the House to the Senate, that the president signs, and then then the help goes back out to people. Now, to be honest, this should have happened a month ago. It hasn't. Unfortunately, that's where we stand right now. That's where we are right now. And this was the update for everyone. Now, I don't want us to celebrate prematurely, even though there is wiggle room on both sides, because they are still apart by about $900 billion. Okay, so let's hope they come together. For all those of you who are in the path of Hurricane Laura, please stay safe. Please listen to local authorities. Shout out to one of my subscribers, Leslie. Stay safe, Leslie. I'm rooting for you. Our whole Ignition community is rooting for everyone in the path of Hurricane Laura. And I believe this is going to be the first of more than one hurricane, because this is going to be an active hurricane season. That's what my research is telling me. And I hope that's not the case. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda with Ignition Time. If you learned something new, please click the like button. Please click subscribe. Please enable notifications so you get instant updates from us going forward. We release videos at 2 p.m. East Coast time most days of the week. If you don't know anything about me, check out my video on the Ignition Time channel. It's on the home page at youtube.com/ignitiontime. I have the fortune, the privilege, the honor of living the American dream, and I want to help you live your American dream. So definitely check out my video. Give me the opportunity to help you. Again, please click like, please click subscribe, please enable notifications so you get instant updates. Thank you so much for watching. I'm looking forward to seeing you all in the next episode of Ignition Time. Take care. Bye.